ChatGPT has turned the content creation world on its head, and it's an extremely powerful tool when it comes to writing non-fiction. Hi, my name's Tim Cooper, and I've already used ChatGPT to assist me in writing 2 books in the last month, and I'm well and truly into the writing of my 3rd book. And over that process, I have been experimenting with different prompts and refining my approach to how to drive ChatGPT to produce top quality content. So in this series of videos, I'm going to break this training down into 3 videos just to keep the videos reasonably short and easier for you to just jump into the information you want. But over this series of videos, I'm going to take you from where to go, what my process is from start to finish. In the first video, we're going to look at some considerations when you're looking at publishing on Amazon and other platforms like Draft to Digital for Barnes & Noble and that sort of stuff. We're also going to look at how to get ideas from ChatGPT, but more importantly, some of the tools I use to validate those ideas to make sure that the book I'm writing is actually in demand, that people actually want that information. That's so important. You can spend so much time and put so much hard work and love into a project only to find that it's in an area that doesn't have a lot of demand. So we're going to touch on that. The topic research and validation isn't in the scope of this training, but I think it's important just to give you a very quick overview of what you can do to help validate and make sure that your book is going to be a winner, okay, that it's going to be up there. Okay, then we're going to go through the process of outlining content creation, editing, checking to make sure that it's passing AI detection, and also making sure there's no plagiarism. So in this video, part 1, we're going to look at the considerations for publishing on Amazon. We're going to take a quick look at ideation and validation, and we're going to do the outlining. So if you're ready to get started with ChatGPT in your writing, you're in the right place. And if you've got any questions whatsoever, please drop them in the chat or email me at tim@timcooper.au. That's tim@timcooper.au, and I will address those questions in future videos. But for now, let's jump over my computer and get started. Okay, so before we dive in and start the creation process, I just want to quickly cover some important considerations when it comes to using AI to generate content, what impact that may have when you publish on Amazon, and the impact that I have actually personally experienced when trying to publish on other platforms like Barnes & Noble and Kobo and that sort of stuff. Because the big question is, is AI content, AI generated content, acceptable? And the short answer when it comes to Amazon is yes. There is nothing in their guidelines that say that you can't publish a book that has been generated using AI, okay? And as we can see, there are many, many books on Amazon that are just simply being produced, generated by AI, and they haven't really been edited. Just the content's just been picked up and pasted, and the covers on it, and it's out there. Okay, so there's a lot of AI generated content hitting Amazon. But the thing to look at with the guidelines here, and I tried to make the screen bigger, but the text won't wrap, so it was cutting off, is number 1 is you look up here and they say that they continuously review their approach regarding and listening to feedback. So the concerns of the customer, right? And they say here, we reserve the right to remove content from sale if we determine it creates a poor customer experience. And I think that's the only part that you're going to potentially have trouble with if all you do is just go into ChatGPT, give it a few prompts, generate just some stock standard AI content and put it onto Kindle. Is it, people might just turn around and say, oh, this content isn't relatable. It's not really good content. So this is what you should take into consideration when you are using AI to assist you in creating your book. Okay. And as I said, throughout this training, I'm going to show you my process, which I am continually refining, where I use ChatGPT to assist me in writing the book, but there's still a lot of my own input in there. And I do a lot with the content before it goes into a published book. And by doing that, you are going to ensure that your book is good quality, it reads well, and it actually does address the problem. Because with a lot of training out there at the moment, just saying, just put these prompts in and spit out information. If you don't train the AI properly and if you don't prompt it properly, all you're going to get is very generic content that is very, very similar to what other people are producing, and your book won't stand out. And if you want your book to stand out and get reviews and rise through the ranks of Amazon and be able to publish it on other platforms, you've just got to do a little bit of extra work. So this training isn't going to teach you how to get your book on Amazon in record time, but what it's going to teach you is how to work with ChatGPT to go through, get your content written very quickly, and then how to go through and edit it. So I just wanted to touch on that, is that yes, you can publish AI generated content on Amazon. There are no restrictions anywhere. I've done lots of searches, and I'm seeing lots of AI generated content hitting Amazon. So that's the case. But if you really want to stand out and avoid this, then this training is going to take you through a process of creating great content. The other point is that with my last book, I went to a site called Draft to Digital because I wanted to also release the ebook version on a number of different sites. Okay, so obviously the bulk of book sales are always going to come through Amazon KDP because it's just so big. But in the process of trying to submit my book to these other sites, it basically didn't work because they picked up that there was AI generated content, and so it wasn't approved for those sites. That is another reason that forced me to refine my process and put a lot more work into my books, which I'm doing now with my third book. So that's that. So let's talk about ideation, getting ideas. Now, throughout these training videos, I'm going to use the ChatGPT 3.5 model, even though I've got a plus account, and I currently generate my content with GPT-4, but understanding that GPT-4 is only available to plus users at the moment, I'll do all these examples in 3.5, taking into consideration now that the content that ChatGPT-4 generates is far superior to 3.5 and is already well along the way of being non-detectable to AI content detectors, as long as you train it properly. Okay, and we'll go into that. We'll go into the training to write in your own voice in the next lesson. But that's that. So we're just going to come to a new chat and get started. Now, I personally don't start my book creation journey inside of ChatGPT. Okay, I go to Amazon and search, because I have an idea of what I want to write about. So I'll go to Amazon and I'll do my validation there. But that being said, there's nothing stopping you from using ChatGPT to come up with some ideas and then go into these other tools to ensure that there's demand, check the competition, and that sort of stuff, just to validate your idea and ensure that your book's got a chance to be successful. So one thing you can do, so say in this training, we're going to use essential oils as an idea. And so this is one thing you can do, is look at some sub niches for this topic. So the topic is essential oils, but what are some things that we can look at? Some different approaches, some things we may not have thought about, and you can get some ideas here. Now, once again, this is just all part of building ideas. Another prompt that you can use is looking for some different angles. Okay, so once again, to make your book stand out, what are some ways that you can approach it that are different, but still within that demand window that people still want it? So you can ask ChatGPT to suggest some different angles for the book. And another one you can do is you can just simply ask it to suggest some subtopics. Okay, and it will come through and give you some ideas. Now, these are probably, doing this is probably a good starting point, especially if you've gone into Amazon and you're doing the research and you're finding that there's a lot of competition there and there's a lot of established books, and it's going to be hard for you to hit the first page or the top 10, top 20, because it's just a really, there's just books there that have been there for ages and they've got hundreds of reviews, and they're really solidified in that spot. So it's, you can sort of come through and you say, well, okay, well, what's another way? How can we do it? And obviously, a good thing to do is to look at things like this. So instead of trying to write the comprehensive A to Z on something, to think about more of creating a series and writing shorter books, and then break them up into topics, create a series, and that obviously is also going to increase your book sales, because if somebody likes one book you've written, they're going to look for another book. Okay, so that's that. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. I just want to say that's some ideation for you. Okay, so now we're going to come to Amazon, and I'm just going to type in, let's start really broad. Okay, so I'm going to go essential oils, and I've got this plugin, this Chrome extension called Self-Publishing Titans, and it comes up with some interesting keywords as well. Once again, this is great for ideation, because now we're seeing this is based on actual searches, so we can see what people are actually searching for. Because one thing with ChatGPT is it can give you ideas, but it can't give you any volume. It can't give you any idea of competition. It can't give you any idea of popularity. It can give you ideas. You need to come in and to the actual platform and just check out what's going on. Okay, so this is all these searches that people do. So I'm just going to click on that. And then what I generally do is I go down and I search for themes and how popular books are. Now I've got another tool called, I think it's called DW. I'll put the link for this tool as well, because this gives you an idea about what's happening, how popular it is. This is the overall seller rank in the store. And if it's above, say, 100 or 150, it's not really selling that well. So this is giving me an idea of what is popular. Okay, so look at this. Get into this essential oil stuff, and then now we're finding that the best-selling book so far, down at 58,000, is Natural Spells for the Green Witch. Okay, interesting. So this is how you go through and validate the popularity, because you can write a great book, but if nobody's looking for it, it's not going to really sell that well if nobody's searching. 101 ways to use essential oils. So there's 61 essential oils. That would be quite a lot of work. Essential oils of the Bible. Interesting. So there are some books that are doing reasonably well here. So I'm just going to, I really couldn't see any sort of trend there. So I'm going to say for stress and anxiety. Okay, and that's obviously a search term because it's actually coming up in the suggested searches here. So I'm going to look at how popular this is. So once again, if you hone in on these different areas, you can then look at writing a series. You could write a series on essential oils for stress and anxiety. Write a book on essential oils for pets, for cleaning, that sort of stuff, and build out a series. But once again, these books aren't doing wonderfully. So, right there. So personally, this is not a topic that I would pursue, and that's probably the reason why I'm doing this as the demo thing, because it's, to me, it's not really worth the work. Okay, they're just not popular. Now it could be that they're not executing their self-publishing well, but it just doesn't look good. So that's, once again, just an overview. So now I also use another tool called Publisher Rocket. I'm just trying to find, I'm going to find one that's doing research because I want to see what category they've got it listed in. So I'm just going to open this up and just see what category, get an idea of the categories. So aromatherapy, naturopathy, okay. So now I'm going to come across to Publisher Rocket because this is going to give me some further insights as to whether this topic is viable or not. I'm going to come to category search, and then up here I'm going to type in aromatherapy. There it is. So books, Kindle store. All right, so you can see it's not really selling. So we're going to look at this book category here. So we're going to click on Insights. And it's saying that it is growing, and the average price is $16. To get to the top 10, you've only got to make 7 sales a day. To get to number 1, you've only got to make 18 sales. So this is a great tool. You can see over time the trend, and then you can see related topics. So these are the related topics. So let's have a look at the Kindle side of things. All right, and as we were saying, this one's not really doing that well. It's on the downward trend. Okay, so as you can see, tools like Publisher Rocket can give you some great insights and show you how hard it is to rank. Like saying, you've only got to make 1 sale to make the top 10. That's 1 sale a day, and 22 sales a day, you'll be number 1 in that category. So these are really valuable insights. So that's an overview of validation, right? Before you start, saying, like, if you just jumped in to write a book on essential oils and you went through all that trouble and you published it and it didn't move, you'd be rather upset. So it's good to see, it's good to check the viability first. So with the viability out of the way, let's look at jumping back into ChatGPT and generating some content. Okay, so what I would have normally done before I reached this point is I would have gone to the look inside option on the Kindle store and checked out the table of contents to see what the top selling books contain, what they're covering. And I'd make a list of that as to get an idea about what I should have covered. I would have looked at the comments to see what the book was covering well, what it was missing, what people liked, what people didn't like. And that would have formed the basis for this next prompt, okay? So I'm just going to copy this in here. And I'm going to say, I want to write a book on essential oils for stress, anxiety, and sleep. Right, the book should include chapters on essential oil safety, essential oils for stress, anxiety, and sleep. Blends and recipes, right? I'm not going to go too far here, but these are the topics that I would say I'd include. And then I say what topics should be included to ensure the book is complete and comprehensive. So we're just going to hit that. And now it's giving some ideas here. I don't want to include I don't want this to be a scientific book. I just want it to be just a guide, just so they can just get straight in and start using essential oils safely. So we don't need to give them the science behind stress and anxiety for them to get help. We don't need to give them this in-depth properties and chemistry and that sort of stuff. That isn't required. That would just be fluff. But the methods of application, the essential oils for specific use, the oils, different types, lifestyle factors, precautions and contraindications is important. That's basically the safety side. Combination with other therapies, you could put that in, and obviously the recipes. So then I would come through, I'd copy this, and I'd say, I'd like to include the following topics in my book. Okay, and then we shift return, otherwise you're going to submit it, and then we're going to paste it in. And then I'm just going to come through, I'm going to delete the ones that I don't want. So I don't want the science, and I don't want the understanding, but I want the methods of application. Yeah, that looks interesting. Essential oils, different types of sleep, lifestyle, precautions. I'll leave that out because I just want this purely on and recipes and blends. Okay, so that's what I want to include. So those are the topics. Okay, and now I'm just going to come back over here. I'm just going to say, suggest some catchy titles. Right, we want our title to be catchy. So we're just going to paste that in, and away we go. Now, once again, if you didn't like any of the first ones, you could just type in suggest more. But I like essential oils for inner peace. I think it was because I'm not going to be publishing this anyway. So I'm just go, I like number 6. So now I'm telling it that is going to be the title of the book. Now I've got 2 options here. I can just prompt it to write an outline just by saying, okay, now please produce an outline for this book, and it will. But what I prefer to do is I like to tell it to not only write a detailed outline, but I also want it to use catchy and compelling chapter titles and subtitles. Because as I said, when your book's up on Amazon, they've got this look inside feature. So if your chapter titles and subtitles are interesting, there's and maybe raise a bit of curiosity, then it's going to work really well. So there we are. So that's the outline that it's produced. And I'm going to take this outline and I'm going to paste it into a new document. Okay, so I'm going to paste it into here. And then I'm also going to bring the title in. Like so. Yep. Control Shift V, otherwise it's going to bring the formatting in. I'm going to set this to heading 1. And then I'm just going to come through and just quickly make sure this all reads well. So that's a good basis for a pretty comprehensive book. Okay. So now I'm just going to tell it that I want to expand certain parts of this book to include more information. Obviously not the introduction, that's just a brief overview, so I'm not going to expand that out. But now I'm just going to ask it to expand on chapter 2 to include more subsections. Okay. And now it's built it out. There's a little bit more information there. So now I'm just going to copy this. And I'm just going to bring it across to my document. And I'm going to paste that in there. So now we've got that. So I then go through and do it for every single one. So what's another one? Because I'm not going to write a whole book while we're here. So here, essential oil blends and recipes. You can also, when you're asking it to expand out, you can tell it to also include. So if you can see there's information in the outline that is missing something that you really want to put in there, just tell it that you want to expand that out. So let's try that. And so once again, 3.5 is not as good as 4. 4 gives you so much more, but this is 8. So 7. So we're going to go 7. Please expand on the chapter to include more. Also include subtopics on the best essential oils to use. Okay. Once again, this is all for illustration purposes, but I just want to give you some ideas on how you can really expand things out and get a comprehensive. Okay, so here it's included that extra section there, and so we'll just copy that in, and we'll replace this with that. So he's coming back over here. Aromatherapy DIY. So just breaking these up like that, so you can just sort of see. So I'd go through the entire thing. I'd expand out the outline, and then what I do is once I've got the outline where I want it, I take a copy. So I'm going to name this document. Just going to put that up there, and then I just come across and I make a copy of it, because with ChatGPT, especially with ChatGPT 3.5, it only has a context window of 3,000 words, which means it can only remember back the last 3,000 words that have gone into the window. That's including what you type in. That includes your prompts and instructions, and it also includes the ChatGPT responses, of course. So the more content that you create within the window, it starts to forget. So throughout the process, you have to reprompt it. You have to re-enter certain information, or you just start a new chat just to make sure that ChatGPT doesn't lose context and forget about what it's writing about. So I keep a copy of the actual untouched outline, so I can re-enter it into ChatGPT to remind it, okay, so this is the outline for this chapter, and then it goes, okay, cool, let's go and let's write that chapter. I'll also keep some other prompts in there too, like in the next lesson we're going to go through how to train ChatGPT to write in your unique voice and that sort of stuff. So all these specific instructions that I give to ChatGPT throughout the process, outside of prompting it to create content, I keep in a document so that when I need to reprime and re-enter those instructions, they're there in one place. I'll just copy paste it through, bring ChatGPT back up to speed and continue creating. So that's this lesson done. We've got our outline, well, the demo outline that I'm going to use for the remainder of this training. So in the next lesson, we'll go through how to use ChatGPT to build out our content. Okay, see you there.